and thanks so much for joining me for my luxury beauty favorites of 2022. From my family to yours, wishing you a very Merry Christmas, and thank you again so much for joining me this year for all of the makeup, all of the reviews, the get ready with me, the vlogs. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking so forward to 2023 and kind of rethinking this channel, reevaluating it, and I appreciate all of your feedback on that because I feel like we're going in the same direction. If you've seen my previous videos, you'll know that I've talked about my top 5 in each category, and today we're talking about the top item in each category. So I have picked one per category and we'll just jump right in. I do have everything on my face today that we talked about. So if you want to see how we got here, I filmed the get ready with me that should be coming up next. Starting with a primer, I've been loving this and I know many of you love it as well. It's a Chantecaille anti-pollution mattifying cream. It does an excellent job of mattifying, especially in the center of my face, and that's where I apply most of this, and it looks lovely under foundation. It makes it perform better for me, and it also says that it is a moisturizer. So if you're looking for a little mattifying yet still moisturizing, this is a great one. If you notice the name, it's anti-pollution. It's because it helps shield your skin from those toxic pollutants in urban environments. So that's another plus to this. I've got it on now. And then I went in with my pick of the year for foundation. We've got here the Sublimage L'Essence de Teint. And this one stuck out to me because it's one of those products that when I would watch the playback or have it on in real life, I think that looks really nice. And time again, it was this product. So this one was very consistent, and that's why these products come out on top, is because they perform consistently. Sometimes I get really good results with some products versus others some of the time, but this one's all of the time. This looks beautiful. Well, I have mine in B40, and this foundation not only does a lovely job of covering, I added a little bit more today just so we could see how it can build up, but it never looks cakey on the face. Even if you add a couple of layers, still a really skin enhancing kind of product, and it feels lovely on the skin. So I don't love the feel of foundation on my skin. If I could go without foundation, I would, but this is one of the products that's the most second skin like in appearance as well as feel. It is one of the most elegant foundations I've used while providing some really nice coverage. Now, concealer for under eye, this is not made for the under eye area. It just kind of evolved that way because of the shade that I picked, as well as the performance in that it sets by itself. So we've got here a new product this year. It's the Luggage Water Fresh Complexion Touch, and I had a little bit of an issue trying to find the right shade for my face. B30 is the one I have, and it's lighter than my skin tone. So I thought, let me try this under my eyes. And when I did that, I realized what a lovely product it was for the under eye area, because I don't like to powder, because when I powder, it looks like there's makeup under my eyes. So anytime I can find a product that doesn't require a powder, that's a plus. So we've got this on, and I also use this underneath it. I think they work really well together. It's the Chantecaille Sheer Glow Rose Face Tint. I apply it under my eyes first, and then I go in with this. So what this does is it reflects the light in a really natural, lovely, pretty way, requiring less makeup on top. So not only does this do a nice job of just illuminating that area really nicely without being sparkly, this does a nice job of adding just enough coverage. So this allows me to use less makeup, thus looking less like I'm wearing makeup. So I love that. Of course, we can't not talk about the PRAIRIE Concealer. This one does the best job of brightening just this specific area right here, does not require powder, is not too reflective in that it stands out too much because the shade is already a little bit lighter. It's shade 4, but it's still lighter than my under eye area, which is actually what I need for that to work. It reflects enough light, but it's not sparkly. It doesn't call attention to that area. It just does the job it needs to do while still seamlessly blending into everything else in a really easy product to use. It's a really game-changing kind of product in terms of if you want to brighten that eye area without putting concealer everywhere, because when you see the get ready with me, I don't put that much concealer or the complexion touch on, but it's really this here that makes one of the biggest differences. That one lasts a long time too because I only add it to that one little area. And then of course for face concealer, still loving year after year after year, the Clé de Peau concealer that's got SPF 27. It has a brightening element to it. Perfect for dark spots because you want to protect the dark spots from the sun. You also want to see if you can brighten it while it's working on the skin. That makes so much sense to me, because if you're wearing concealer, it might as well do something to help the issue that you're covering up. So I love this because it's buildable. It works well on this area of my face, which has probably the most texture on my face because I've got enlarged pores in the front. So if there's a concealer that's going to settle into any crevices, cracks, anything like that, it's going to be right here. So that's a really tricky spot to find a concealer that works. It's a very opaque concealer that doesn't take very much to cover up a dark spot. And I've read in so many other places that if you have hyperpigmentation, melasma, areas that require quite intense concealing, that this is the one to go with. And I completely agree with that, because year after year after year, this is the one I continue to repurchase. And I've tried a lot of concealers. I love concealers, but this one just continues to come out on top. Another plus to this is that it looks beautiful after several hours of wear. It doesn't change its tone, which actually is another thing that I read, that this doesn't do that. And I concur with all of the reviews I've seen on this so far. It's one of my most frequently purchased products, and I have mine in the shade Mocha. I also use that in the corners of my eyes right here. It's the best product for that, as well as just around this area if I need to even that out. Yeah, it's a really beautiful one. I don't use that under my eyes though, because it is intense and I don't need that much intensity under my eyes, and it's a little bit of a drier consistency. And that's why it works right here, because I can get oily sometimes here, and they work really well together. The oils in my face plus that product, they seem to work really well over time and doesn't break apart this concealer. For brows, we have a new to me this year product, and this one achieves both definition and softness at the same time, which is a tricky balance, and that is the Chanel Brow Duo. This one is the one in dark 03, and it's got, gosh, all the little implements in here, but I've only got the one left. So that's the one I used today. It's the little angled brush, and this is great because I use this powder side mainly. I'll talk about what I do for the brow gel, the brow wax in a moment, but I use this to help define the bottom here, and then I can soften it as well with this product because it's a powder. So sometimes when it's just a pencil, it's a little bit too defined, and sometimes if it's a powder with a different applicator, it can be too soft, or with gel it might be too soft and not defined enough. So that's why I like this product, because I can do both. I can define and provide that softness. For instance, in the front here, it's not a super defined beginning of the brow because of the way I applied it, which I'll show you in the Get Ready With Me, but I'm able to find this part of the brow. And then I go in with another product, of course, that I love to give dimension to the brows. So more of a three-dimensional volume to the brows. And I was afraid I was not going to like this one as much because they updated the other products that I loved, which was the DIOR Show Pump and Brow. But this one is lovely. I'm so glad they did that, because the Pump and Brow was a little bit chunkier in its consistency, although it had some really nice hold. This one is more refined in its consistency. It's not as chunky, and you still get that hold. So I'll show you how I achieve a little bit more volume with my brows using this product as well in the Get Ready With Me. It's a nice cool tone. It's an 032. In most of my videos this year, it was this product. Then onto powders. I think one of the most powerful products that I can use, especially for my needs. This first one does a good job of blurring imperfections in terms of both imperfections in shade variation on my face as well as imperfections in terms of surface. It does deliver a more smooth looking surface to the skin, and this is Chantecaille's Perfect Blur Powder. Should be no surprise. I use this in pretty much every video and in real life. It does the loveliest job of evening out that skin tone and then blurs. Just in all aspects, it blurs. It's like a filter or a soft effect focus on the face with this powder. I'm medium toned and this is perfect for me. There's a richer tone as well to that, which is also beautiful, but if you are around my tone, that shade is perfect. And then I love the idea of lifting that bone structure, and they've come out with a companion to that. In my view, it's a companion because I use them together. You might use this alone. This is the Lotus Perfect Blur Glow Powder, and it achieves that very difficult balance of providing glow while still blurring imperfections and not emphasizing texture. So it does blur and it does have glow, so I'm not sure what they did to get there, but usually I will forego any glowy products in the front of my face simply because it emphasizes texture. And where I want to bring about bone structure is right here. And that's where I have the most texture. So it's a difficult product to find something that can do that. And this is one of the few products. And I love this because it does more blurring than other products that have a glow to it that can be used in the front of my face, for me at least. So I love that it does both really, really well. Enough that I bought a backup because it's a limited edition as of now. I really hope they make it permanent. Then after blush, I think bronzer might be the second most fun product for me to apply. I love the transformative aspect of it, especially when it's done really well. And I love how quickly it transforms and how seamless it can look on the skin depending on the product. And the tone is important to me because sometimes if there's too much pink or red in it, it looks kind of odd on me. So it's got to have a warmer tone to it. And it can't have too much of a neutral tone because it's a little kind of gray on my skin. So it definitely has to have a nice warm tone, which is why I love things like Guerlain bronzers. But for one of those fun and easy bronzers that has a beautiful result every time, this is the one that I pull for. It's by Chanel. It's in the shade 392. It's a Soleil Tan Medium Bronze Bronzer. And I loved this in the lighter and the deeper shades. They have a lighter and a deeper one, and this was the last one to come out. But I was blending the two to get to the perfect shade, and this is my perfect shade without having to blend those two. So if you're medium tone, definitely go with this one. It's just such an easy, again, fun product to use. Beautiful result. On to my eyeshadow palette of the year. This is a really beautiful palette that I think is so versatile. I think works on so many people. I've talked about this one, gosh, maybe the most out of any eyeshadow palette. Not this year, but even in previous years. Years maybe? Yeah, years. This one is by Chanel. It is Tisse Rivoli, and I have it on today. And I love this because of the tones. They don't look that exciting in the pan, I have to say. But they are that neutral, cool tone that I love. They're a little bit lavendery, a little bit gray, a little bit gragey. And I think you can do so much with this palette, and you can put a look together that's really tailored, really classic. Not something that will stand out as, oh, you're wearing a gray eye or a brown eye or a purple eye. It's really kind of actually hard to pinpoint what shades these are, I think, at least on me. But you can see how it could work with different lip shades, different cheek shades. And I've been so happy with the results every time I put this on. Yeah, I really feel like this could work on most people as well, these shades. And you'll see when I apply it how easy it is to apply, how effortless, and how quickly this look came together using this palette. I love the satin finish of this. There is a little bit of intermittent shimmer, but nothing distracting. I think it makes it just a little bit more interesting as well if you wanted to use it for evening, but that's why I love it so much. So make sure to tune in to the Get Ready With Me because I'll show you how easy this was. It was effortless, easy, quick, but I think looks really put together, and that's one of the things I love most about this palette. Very easy to use. And for eyeliner, I love these ESUM dual-sided pencils. Specifically this one, it's black on one side and platinum on the other, and I have it on today. I love the black for tight lining and then the platinum side for the waterline. So if you want some brightening and you don't want it too obvious, this platinum is beautiful because it's not really opaque, so it's not covering up all of this waterline, but it's brightening it. And there's just the slightest reflective quality about it, so I love this combination, but they have some other beautiful options as well, but this is the one that I think will work with most eye palettes because I just tightline with it, and then this one is quite neutral as well. And this one is not going to be a surprise. Mascara, Chantecaille Faux Cils Longest Lash Mascara. I know this one's going to run out soon, so I needed another one anyway, so I picked up two because that was a good price and there was a discount on it. This one builds beautifully, doesn't flake, looks lovely on bottom and top lashes, and again, peptides just help promote that lash growth. Continues to be a holy grail mascara for me. And when it comes to cream blushes, I'm looking for something that's not going to lift the makeup underneath. As you know, I put concealer down here in the middle, and I want to make sure that when I apply the cream, it's not lifting that off because then I have to start over. There are a few cream blushes that do a really great job of that, and Victoria Beckham is one of them. I love the shade Major. It's such a pretty one. I think works with most looks as well, so I just dotted it on here for some intensity right here, and then I worked that in with my favorite powder blush of the year. It's the Valentino blush. And I'm sure you're not surprised if you've been here before because I constantly use this one. I use it to buff in other blushes. I will layer it. Mostly I love this because of the tone. So it's got that peachiness to it. I can apply it right up here. It helps to even further color correct, bring this concealed area together with this part of my cheek as well. Because sometimes, not sometimes, I just know if I don't apply blush all the way up here, you can see a defining line between my concealer and the rest of my skin. It's not super obvious, but I can see it. So I like to just connect the two. So I can apply this on textured area. It gives a little bit of a glow. It just brings about that, again, that bone structure. It's a skin enhancing blush, my favorite kind, and it's got a sheerness to it, so it's hard to go overboard on this because I have done that before with other blushes because I love applying blush. So I use this to help soften blush. I use it to color correct. I use it to help lift this bone structure. It's a multitasking kind of product for me, and specifically shade number 9. As for the lip, any of those top 5 would have worked really well with this look, but I went with this one today. It is the Lip Veil in Rock Rose by Chantecaille. So it's got, I think, the most berry tone of the 5 that I showed you earlier, but it's a lovely formula. Applies seamlessly, nice and hydrating, and has a nice opacity to it as well. And I think it's just a really pretty shade for my coloring, and it works really well with this eye. It's nice and sophisticated. It's got a boldness to it without being distracting. I love that when it comes to a bolder or brighter lip. Yeah, sometimes I can wear a lip that's too bold or too bright, and that's all I can see. This is more of a statement lip for me because it's a little bit deeper, but it's not distracting from anything else on my face. So I really love that about this specific shade. I also forgot to mention for eye base, I mean, it's pretty much the only one I used unless it was the DIOR one in the palette with the khaki. But this one is the Chantecaille Next Generation Eye Base in medium. Got that on today. Just makes eyeshadow go on better. It looks better over time. I get more of a true shade when I use the primer as well. And then as for highlighter, I went in really subtly. I wanted to add a little bit of a more natural glow to this look because I think I went more, I mean, this is as full coverage as I'm gonna go with foundation. So I wanted to introduce a little bit of a skin-like quality to the finish of the skin. And so I went in with this lovely highlighter by Victoria Beckham. This one took me a little while to really appreciate, I think, because I had read so much about it and there was so much hype around it, and I thought, oh, it's nice, but it wasn't as exciting as I thought it would be. But the more I use this, the more I understood, yeah, it's a really subtle glow. It gives the most pretty appearance to the skin, and just a little goes a long way. So not putting too much on, I think, is the key as well. So the Victoria Beckham highlighter in Pearl is beautiful. And for my fragrance of the year, I went with my Power Suit fragrance, which is something that I pull for when I have somewhere important to go, or I just need to be pulled together, not only makeup wise, but fragrance wise and just everything wise. This is the Baccarat Rouge 540, and I love the notes in here. It's very sophisticated, very classic. This is the I've got my act together kind of fragrance, so I love this for anything, like I said, you would need a power suit for. This is my power suit fragrance, so I love this one. I just feel really put together when I put this fragrance on. And thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video because I have a few special messages just for you.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas! Mayong Pasko!
Nice.
Merry Christmas!
But let me know what your favorites of the year have been. What do I need to try? I always love reading your comments because you give me a lot of information, put some things on the radar that I did not have on the radar at all, and I end up really loving the products. But that is it for today's video, so please take care of each other, stay well. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you next time.
Merry Christmas! Says it longer than I do. Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas!